ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys. We just finished working on the first exercise, which is the question one that I told you is similar to whatever you might be given in the final exam, and you can see it's worth 11 marks, which would be exactly the same thing that it's worth. Each question is worth 11 marks from the calculation perspective. Now, the second exercise I would like you to go and practice on is this exercise here, question 2, which is relating to the obviously normal cost, crash cost, maximum crash time, slope, and so on. And if we go here and we look at the Moodle site, you'll be able to see that we did cover similar calculations, and you can see a lot of recordings relevant to that, which we have done in week 5. You can see, for example, we went into a lot of details covering those calculations. So I can show you that how we covered the direct, indirect costs. And you can see here where we've kind of went step by step, and you can see how things are changing and how I'm adding figures, and I've done it step by step so that you guys are able to go and follow it. And then I've done the same thing in the tutorial, so you can see every exercise in the tutorial. We again went through every exercise. I tried to draw things for you on the board, so you can see I was doing things live with you on the board so that you guys will be able to see. And to show you what we've done. So you can see here, I was really drawing for you, putting the information there. I was putting rectangle there, making changes so that you guys would see at any point of time what we're doing, what we're changing. I was typing information for you. And I've tried to really do the same thing so that you guys will be able to follow the process of how we do those calculations. So spend a lot of time to make sure you guys, step by step, you guys understand what we're going here. Now, I am going to be doing exactly the same thing I've done for the first part. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get you to go to this exercise. It's obviously, there's a big exercise that is listed there. And what I also want you to see is as part of this first exercise, this first lecture slides, we kind of, looked here. So if you go and see here, you'll be able to see that we looked at, how do you calculate slope and how do you calculate maximum crash time, which is really, if you really consider, this is a formula here. It's a very simple formula, but if you go and consider, this is really exactly the same thing of what you are asked to be calculating here as part of your calculations here. So you need to calculate that first, and then you need to go and also draw the network diagram, to be able to see how things are actually looking. And then from there, you can look at every, path. How many paths do we have? You're going to go and look at how long is each path. And then from there, you're going to look at the longest path. And you're going to decide which paths am I going to go and reducing at any particular point of time. So what I'm going to do with this exercise, I would like you to do it step by step. So the first thing I want you to go and do is I want you to go and draw it by relying on this information here. How do you go and draw it? ABC, and how you're going to draw that. I needed to draw it in the same format as we've done it here. So it is drawn in this particular manner. So you're going to draw it exactly the same way, not like a normal network diagram. You're just going to put the activity number and the duration underneath it. You're going to draw it in this particular manner. And then I needed to go and calculate this information about the slope and maximum crash time. So once you do that, we're going to be able to go through the next step in that exercise. But what I'll do is I will let you start having a look at that first part first. I will give you 5 minutes for this first part to draw this network diagram and to calculate the slope and maximum crash time. If you cannot remember how you do it, I recommend you go to the lecture slides from week 5. You have a look at how do we make the calculation, and then you'll be able to go and try to calculate it yourself, and then we'll go for the next step from there. So guys, start having a look. You have 5 minutes. If you're not in the classroom live, please make sure you do the same thing at home. Thank you very much. Let's start. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now resuming this recording. So I would like you to go and tell me the first part of my question. So the first thing I told you, I need you to calculate for me the normal cost of all of these various activities. Anybody calculated the normal cost for this project? What is the normal cost? Come on, guys. Who calculated the normal cost for this project? No one? Balal? Balal, Jake, Antonio, Jaya, Ty, no one?
Is it 450?
450. How did you calculate it?
Just multiply all of it.
Okay, so you went to this 50 plus 80 plus 60 plus 50 plus 100 plus 40 plus 70. That
Yes.
gave you the first answer, which is 450. That
Yes.
is your answer that is available here. Are we correct with that?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that hard? That's the first part. Is that hard or simple? Very simple, yeah? Okay. Did you guys draw the network diagram as I told you?
Yes.
Okay. If you draw it, you should have gotten this.
Yes. Yes.
I need you guys to have a look at what you have and see whether you got exactly that.
Yes, sir.
Jaya, are you here?
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir.
Are you following?
Yeah, I'm following. I'm trying to have a look at the diagram, but
Perfect. Is Arif here? Arif?
Sir, I'm here.
Okay, can you understand?
Yes, sir, I'm understanding.
So what we've done simply, we looked here, there's A and B, there's nothing before it. And it's A is 4 days and B is 5 days. So you do A, 4 days, B, 5 days. Then we said, all right, there's C and D have A before it. So you had C and D that have A before it. And that's the duration 8 and 6 days. Then we said E, which have B before it. And that's E, which have B before it. So you can see it here. Then we said, all right, we have F, which have C and D before it. That's F, which have C and D before it. And we said we have G that have E and F before it, and that's G and have E and F before it. Does that make sense? Is that difficult?
No, sir.
No.
Jaya, are you good with that?
Thank you, sir.
No worries. Jaya, is that good for you?
yes, sir.
Perfect. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to know which activity are we going to be reducing. So the first thing we need to ask ourselves, how many pathways do we have? Now, Arif, how many pathways can you see for this project?
Can I see the question, sir?
How many pathways do you see for this project?
Okay. 1, 2. Is it 2 pathways, sir?
It's 3 pathways. There's
Three
A, C, F, G.
Yeah.
There's A, D, F, G. And there's B, E, G.
Yeah, yes, sir.
A, C, F, G. Can you count all the days for me? 4 plus 8 plus 5 plus 8, 8. And tell me what's the duration?
25, sir.
All right, that's 25. What about A, D, F, G?
10, 15, 23.
What about B, E, G?
It's like 22.
22. So for 25 days duration of the project, how much will the project cost me?
The question, sir, was the question.
For a project that is currently taking 25 days, how much is it costing me? How much is the project costing me? it is costing me $25 that you guys have already calculated.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Now,
What, sir? What, sir? Can you please answer?
well, for the 25 days that you guys have here, the 25 days, it is costing you what you've already calculated, which is $450.
Normal cost.
Normal cost for 25 days. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question, guys. The normal time is 4 days. The crash time is 2 days. So what's the maximum crash period? How many periods can I crash it? What's the maximum crash time?
2, sir. 2.
I can crash it for 2 days. Now, the normal cost is 50. The crash cost is 90. So when I reach the 2 days, it's going to cost me 90.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost me $40, 90 minus 50, 40. $40 for 2 days, which is 4 minus 2. How much is it going to cost me per period to crash it?
20.
20.
$20. So it's going to cost me $20 for each period. I can crash it 2 times. There's 2 and 4. There's 2 periods. I can crash it 2 times. And it is going to cost me between, $40 for the 2 periods. So for 1 period, it's going to cost me $20. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I need you to calculate the same thing for every other activity. For B, for C, for D, for E, for F, and for G. I'm going to give you 4 minutes to calculate that, and then I want you to give me the answers. Your
So
time.
once tell me how to do that. Once, please.
I've already mentioned it, Jaya. So this is the normal time, and that's a crash time. What's the difference between the normal time and the crash time?
Normal time is like the normal time, and the crash time is like 2 days delay.
Okay, so there's 2 days. So 2 days earlier. So you can finish the project 2 days earlier. Because normal time is 4. If you finish it in 2, you finish it quicker. So you can save 2 days because the normal time is 4, the crash time is 2, so the difference is 2 days. So you can reduce your project by 2 days by crashing that activity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, to know how much it's going to cost you per period, you're going to have to see what's the normal cost and what's the crash cost. If my crash cost is 90, which is going to cost me more to finish the project earlier, 90 minus 50 equal 40. So it means for the 2 periods of time that I'm going to crash it, it's going to cost me 90 minus 50, which is $40 for the 2 periods. How much is it going to cost me to crash each period? Well, you do 90 minus 50, which is 40.
So each period is days, sir. Is that so? The crash time is 2 days. So the period means 1 day.
Yeah, each
20
period
bucks.
is 1 day. So you need to see if 2 days is going to cost you $40, which is 90 minus 50, how much is 1 day going to cost you?
$20. Yeah.
That's because that's what you need to calculate, the crash time per period. Okay?
So what is the $20 here, sir?
It's what we call the slope. So on your
Okay.
table in front of you, if you open it, there's a maximum crash time and there's a slope. Slope is how much is it going to cost you every time you crash it. I need you to go and make your calculation accordingly of all the remaining periods for every other item here. I need you to calculate the maximum crash time, and I need you to calculate the slope now.
So done, sir.
Okay, done. I'll just give the other guys a few more minutes. All right, now, Arif, I'm going to start by asking you, activity number B, the normal time is 80, the crash time is 160. The normal time is 5, the crash time is 4. How many periods can you crash activity B by?
So for 1 period and for each it would be 80.
It's going to cost me 80, so I can crash it for only 1 period, which is 5 minus 4. And how much is it going to cost me? Equal 160 minus 80, which is 80 divided by 5 minus 4, equal $80 it's going to cost me. Jaya,
So
activity C, how many periods can I crash it?
2.
2. How much is it going to cost me per period?
Just give me a sec, sir. 60. 30.
30. Great. Jacob, Jacob? All right, Jake?
Yeah.
How much is activity D? How many period can I crash D?
D6 minus 4 is 2.
And what's the cost per period?
Is 100 minus 50 divided by 2 is 50.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to ask Ihtisham. Ihtisham?
Yes, sir.
Okay, activity E. How many periods can I crash it?
4. Sorry, 7.
No, it's 9 minus 7 equal only 2 periods.
2 periods. Okay.
You can only crash it by 2, which is 9 minus 7. How much is it going to cost you per period?
It's just going to cost me 110,
It's going to cost me 220 minus 100,
120. Sorry,
which is 120,
Yes,
divided by what?
divided by, sir, the crash time divided by 2.
Divided by 9 minus 7, which is divided by 2.
Yes, sir.
So that's
And it
120
becomes
divided by
60.
2. It's going to be
It
60.
becomes 60.
Correct. Well done, mate. Hemu. Hemu, can you hear me? Okay, Davinda?
Yes, sir.
How many periods can I crash activity D? Sorry, activity F.
I understood. Sorry, sir.
Activity F, how many periods can I crash it for?
1, sir.
And what's the cost for that?
Cost 35.
Well done, Rupesh. Actually, Rukaya, you're here. Welcome. Rukaya, can you tell me how many periods I can crash activity G?
It's 2.
2 periods. And how much is it going to cost me?
80.
It is going to cost me 80 for 2 periods. What about for 1 period only?
40.
40, because it's 80 divided by 8 minus 6, which is going to be 40. Well done, guys. You're doing a great job. And that's really the calculation I've just asked you to go and do now. And you've done it really well. So you can see that's the information we know about what can we crash for, how long can we go and actually crash it. So now we go to the next step. Now, which one of those 3 passes is the longest, guys?
First one.
First one. So if we decide what we are going to be crashing, which activity we're going to crash, we need to look which activity is going to cost me more. Is it going to be A, C, F, or G? Let me see. A, C, F, and G. Which one is going to cost you less to crash?
A.
A. A is going to cost you $20. Okay, great. So if you crash A, your project cost becomes what? Becomes 450 plus what?
400.
Well, the normal cost is 450.
If you crash A, the normal cost will be like 400.
How did you get that? No, that's incorrect,
No.
because your normal cost is 450. If you
That's
crash
20%.
activity A, you need to add 20 to the 450.
Okay.
Because when you crash it, it will cost you more money.
470.
It's going to be 470. Great. So it's going to be 450 plus 20, 470. Now, so guys, does someone have a background noise? If you can please just go on silent when it's to avoid that background. So guys, if I crash A, instead of 4, what do I put here?
0.
3 square. 3.
We put 3 because that drops from 4 to 3, which means ACFD will reduce by 1 day and ADFD will reduce by 1 day. So instead of 25, what do I have when I crash?
One question, sir. Sorry.
What's that?
Sir, why you are reducing just 1 day for A?
Because you need to look on the longest critical path. It's ACFG.
Yes.
I need to find the one that's going to cost you the cheapest. A will cost me 20, C will cost me 30, F will cost me 35, and G will cost me 40. Which one is the cheapest?
20, the A one.
20. So you're going to crash A by 1 period. So instead of taking 4 days, it's going to now take how many days here?
1 day.
3 days.
3 days, because we're reducing by 1 period. So if I reduce 1 day from each of those passes, because A will be reducing by 1 day, what do I have instead of 25? And what do I have instead of 23?
24 and 22.
24 and 22. So that's exactly what I've done here. I said we crash A, it's going to be 470. And you can see I said, now what I'm going to have is I'm going to have, instead of 4, I'm going to have 3 here. And what I said is now we have 24 and 22. And that's exactly what I've done here.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to stop for a second to make sure you guys understood what I've done here. Is there any questions at all?
No, sir.
All clear here? Let's look again, guys. Which one is the longest pass now?
A.
A? Which one? A?
ACFG.
ACFG.
ACFG. And which one is the cheapest for me to crash?
Now
Still A. Still A.
Still A. So instead of 470, what will my cost become?
490.
490.
490. Now, how many times did we say we can crash A?
2 more times if we do it now.
No, we've already said we can crash it maximum 2 times.
1 more time, sir.
We've already crashed it 1 time here,
But this is the last time.
and this is the last time. So instead of 3, I'm going to have to put 2, and I have to put X next to it to signify that I can't crash it anymore.
Yep.
And then I am reducing A from here and A from here. So what would I have instead of 24 and 22?
23, 21,
23, 21.
23, 21. And what about BEG?
20.
That's remaining 22.
Remain the same. So we have the cost becomes 470 plus 20 equal 490. Instead of 3, I now have 2x, which is what I have here. And you know you can't crash it anymore. And because we're reducing A from here, it's going to become 23 and 21, which is what you guys see here as 23 and 21. And you can see I marked A in a different color so that you guys know we can't crash it anymore. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Got it, sir.
Arif, my friend, can you understand?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, my friends. Now let me ask you, which pass is the longest now?
ACFG.
Okay, we can't crash A. We can either crash C, F, or G. Okay, let's go back up. C, F, or G. Which one is the cheapest?
C.
C.
C. All right, so we're going to crash C. How many times can I crash C?
6 times.
2 times.
2 times.
sorry, 2
8
times,
minus 6,
sorry.
so 2 times. Okay, so it's going to cost me 30. So let's go down here. I say, all right, now I can crash
So once
C.
show me the pictures of slopes, sir. Once.
So that's a slope, 30, and that's the cheapest here.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
No problem. So let's go here. We know we can crash C. Yes?
Yep.
So the cost is going to be 490 plus what?
30.
30.
Plus 30. Great, perfect. Now, instead of 23, what would I have?
22.
22. Great. Instead of 8 here, what would I have?
7.
7.
7.
That's exactly. The cost is going to be 490 plus 30 equal 520. And then instead of 8, I'm going to have 7. And instead of the 23, 21, 22, I am now reducing 1 from C. I now have 22, 21, 22, which is what we got here.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sir, why can't we do like entire thing at once? Why we need to do it step by step? Like,
Because your project gets reduced one period at a time. You don't reduce your project 10 days at a time. You reduce your project.
what if we try to reduce like 2 days at once?
My friend, you know, we are basically showing you from a calculations perspective how it works day by day. If you're going to go and have to try to crash 2 days, you know, together, you'll have to calculate how much you're saving per day either way. So here we are actually doing it the simple way where you see visually how much it's going to cost you for each day of crashing, because you need in those exercises to compare your cost, how much it's going to cost you. The reason why for 1 day, because usually we have something called indirect cost and we have a direct cost. You have, for example, a cost of a machine. The cost of a machine, every day you're renting that machine, you'll be paying an extra day for each day of that machine. So when we try to reduce it by 1 day at a time, we can know what's going to happen also for the cost of that machine that we are renting and how much money we are going to be saving. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, a bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So, so we need to draw this diagram every time we crash.
You don't need to draw it, but it is recommended you draw it at least once so that you can keep on reducing things from it so that you don't make a mistake.
Yeah, once is better, but you know, like drawing time and again would be like
You don't need to. You don't need to, but you need to put these sort of things to show me you know what you're talking about.
All right. Thank you, sir.
No worries. Now, my friends, we already went and we crashed that activity. Now, we have which passes are the longest?
A, C, F, G, and B, E, G.
Okay, CFG. Which one is the cheapest on CFG?
C.
CFG. Which one is the cheapest?
C,
C. Okay, that's 30. All right, let's look at the other one. BEG. Which one is the cheapest?
G,
G. Okay, great. So if I'm going to go and crash the activities from these two passes, G is here and G is here. Do I need to crash C?
G, sir.
G. Why? Because it is cheaper when you combine it on two passes. So if you go and look at this pass, you're going to see that G is on both passes. If you're going to go and do it separately, you're going to say, all right, I'm going to do, I don't know, C by itself, and then I'll do G. Well, C and G will cost you 70. But if you go and do G by itself, it's going to only cost you 40. And G is already on both passes. So what you do here, you say, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to crash G, which is going to cost me $40. So 520 plus 40 equal how much?
560.
560. So you're going to actually, is it 40? Oh, I made a mistake with my calculation. All right. Disregard that. It is going to be 560 instead of 570. So 520 plus 40 equal 560. Disregard that because all my other numbers will be wrong now. If I'm going to go and look here at 560, how many times can I crash G? How many times?
Scroll the screen, sir.
Okay, let's go up.
2 times.
Two
Two
times.
times.
So I'm crashing it 1 time now because it's going to go and reduce from 560. All right. And instead of 7, instead of 8, what am I going to have?
7.
7. Great. And instead of 22, 21, 22, what would I have?
21, 21, 21. Yeah.
No, 21, 20, 21 because
Sorry,
G is
20.
also here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to stop now and I'm not going to say anything. I want to give you some time for you to go and try to make the remaining calculations yourself for the remaining parts of this calculation. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to try to do the remaining things yourself. and then you can tell me what you're crashing. Yes, my friend.
Sir, let's say like you have chosen G over here, other for like back in others. The reason is because G are present both in like ACFG and BEG and also in the ADFG.
Yeah, and because it's cheaper to crash that activity than to crash one activity here and one activity here. It is actually cheaper to crash one, in this example, to crash one on both passes. G
So
was
let's-
$40.
Yes, sir. So let's say G itself right now is 40, but let's say it would be, let's say 70 or 60.
Let's say G is 150.
Yes.
Then you won't do G. You will do the cheapest on this pass and the cheapest on this pass, and you will combine the costs together instead of crashing G, because you're looking to crash the cheapest activity.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, you have 5 minutes to continue with the exercise. I'm going to go up for a second. I will give you the chance to take a picture. So take a picture of that in case you want to use it for your calculations. And then continue with the rest of the calculation. You have 5 minutes, guys, to give me your beautiful answers. Your time starts now.
Can you scroll down, sir?
All right, well, I'm going to have to stop.
five.
I'm going to have to stop the screen sharing for a second. So, but that's where we are at the moment. That's the screen you need. So you can take a picture of that if you want, and you can start working on that from now. But I'm actually going to stop sharing the screen for a minute.
Yes, sir, that's fine. Thank
Do we need to draw the network diagram for that?
You don't need to, but you need to make sure the calculations are correct.
Okay.
Let's continue. All right, guys, how are we going? Did we continue with that?
Yes, sir.
So we now have, this is 21 and this is 21. Which one do I crash?
F, sir.
ACFG and BEG. Which one is cheapest?
F.
Okay, so if you go to F, let's go to F. How much is F going to cost you?
35.
35, but F is not in both passes. F is only
G,
on
sir,
one
G.
place.
G.
So if you say you're going to do F, I'm going to say no problem. If you do F,
Where is it now?
if you do F, you still need to do one of those ones here because they burst 21. You can't reduce one and not reduce the other. The project duration won't reduce.
Yeah, I wrote wrongly BFG. Instead of writing
So-
BEG, I wrote BFG.
So
Sorry,
which
sir.
one? So which one do we do?
So in that case, sir, we'll do C.
G, sir.
C.
C?
Yes.
G.
Okay.
No, G
how
is
much?
also done because
How-
we can do maximum 2-time crash.
Yeah, you already
G.
crashed only one time. You haven't crashed it 2 times yet.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
I have already
We'll
crashed.
crash G.
Okay, oh,
You
sorry.
crash it as G, correct?
Yeah,
And you
so-
see, I fixed it as 560 here. So 560 plus 40 equal how much?
600.
Equals 600. 7, instead of 7, what do I write?
G. 6.
6 what?
Oh,
6x, because I can't crash it anymore. I've already crashed it once already. And
Okay.
instead of 21, 20, and 21, what would I have?
29 and 20.
20, 20, 19,
20.
and 20.
20, 19, 20. Yeah.
And that's what I have here. You see 6x, you see this is here. You can see the G is now in different color. And you can see all the duration here has been reduced to 20 and then 20. Now, between C and F, which one is cheaper?
F. F. Absolutely F.
F. And between B and E, which one is cheaper?
E and E.
E. You
E
have
is
to
cheaper.
cut E.
E and cheaper.
Okay, so let's go. So you said F and E are cheaper. So that's 95. And we already have the cost as 600. 600 plus 95 equals 695. Make sense?
Yes.
How many times can I crash F?
1.
Sir, why 600 plus 35 plus 60?
Yeah,
There's
that's
95.
695. Now, how many times can I crash F?
Can we crash together
So
like
one
F
thing,
and D?
sir.
Yeah, because you need to crash one from this path
Yeah.
and one from this path. Otherwise, the duration won't reduce to 19. So you wouldn't have really reduced the duration of your project.
Okay.
So C is 30 and F is 35. Why have taken F instead of C?
Because F is cheaper.
Cheaper.
No, E is cheaper.
Isn't it?
F is cheaper.
C is cheaper, 30 John.
But C is already.
Okay, so C is cheaper in this example. So we need to do, have we already crashed C before?
Maybe.
No, sir.
Yeah, maybe.
We can crash C, sir.
1 second, 1 second. So we've done C already one
Crashed
time.
once. Yes.
We've done C already one time.
We already crashed it, yeah.
And we haven't crashed it here.
How many times we can crash C? Is it one time?
2 times.
2 times.
In that case, we can take it.
Then we can only cancel E, no, sir. We can only crash
So,
E.
so we can crash C in this example. So we'll crash C plus we will crash C, which is going to be $30,
630.
and we're going to crash E, which is going
E.
to be $60.
$60.
Yes, sir.
6, 9,
Okay.
10.
So we went on this point here. We basically said, okay, what can we crash next? We said, well, we need to crash one, either C or F, and we need to crash either B and E because we need to crash one from each path. We've decided to go and crash C and E because that was going to be cheaper. So 6 plus 90 equals 690. We've already crashed 6 before, so instead of 7, it's going to become 6x. And we've already, we haven't crashed, E before. We can crash it more, so that's instead of 9 becomes an 8. And instead of 20, we become 19. And then we become 19, and we become 18, and we become 19. So that's what we basically go and have here.
But still, now we have to again cancel
C,
C, F, G, and B, E, G, right? Because both are again 19 and 19.
19 and 19, correct. So now we have 19, 19, and 19. We have to crash either D or F. Which one is going to be cheaper for us to crash? D or F?
So F.
F. And between B and E, which one is going to be the cheaper?
Let me check.
Between, sir, between?
Sir, E.
B and E.
E, sir,
Okay.
E.
So E is going to cost me what?
60.
50.
60. 50 or 60?
60.
60. And F is going to cost me what?
35. Huh?
Okay. Plus 690. What is the cost going to be?
65. 765.
765. All right. So, all right, guys. So that's basic. So that's basically where we got to. So we have the C, which we actually went and crashed C and an E. So C reduced from 7 to 6x, which what we've reduced here, and then E reduced from 9 to 8. So we basically are reducing C here, and we know we can't crash C anymore. So C will have the orange here on it, and then you can see that the duration reduced from 20 to 19. The one which is ADFG remain 19, and the BEG goes to 19 because we've already reduced activity C. So that's what we've done in this particular point here. And then we go and reach to the final point where we say, all right, F is the cheapest and E is the cheapest. So we go and say, all right, we're going to add to the 690 we already have. We're going to add, 35 plus 60. It's going to be 690 plus 95, give me 785. And I know here I can't crash F anymore because we can only crash it once. So that's going to reduce from 5 to 4x. And I'm going to go and mark here F that it can't be reduced any more longer. And then we're going to reduce the duration of all of these passes from 19 to 18. But what you notice here, when I reach 18, can I actually crash anything anymore, or is that done?
You can no, sir. Yeah, you can crash D and B.
Arif, can I crash anymore? Ruqayya, Jacob, can I crash anymore?
If you crash anymore, ACFG won't move down, so it's
It won't move
not
down.
going to be helpful.
So
Yeah.
there is no point for us to continue crashing anything at all, because even if we crash them, it won't basically make any difference for us, because we've already reached the smallest possible duration for that activity.
What about D? D or
If you can crash D and you can crash B and you can crash E, but this will reduce to from 18 to 17, but this will remain 18, which means the duration of your project won't reduce. So there's no point to make any more crashing.
many crashes? Like, what's the
What's the question?
point in doing these many crashes? Like,
The
up
point
to-
of making that many crashes is to reduce your project duration and to reduce your cost.
so the 18 is the last, all we can do?
In this example, yes, because you can see A, C, F, and G can't be crashed anymore. So even if you go and crash this or this, the duration will remain the same as 18 days.
Yeah. So can I ask a doubt, sir?
Of course.
So what if direction?
You're cutting off, I can't hear you.
What if the direction of A is before B, not D? Like in this kind of scenario at this stage, if it's AD, ADCG,
My friend, whatever the scenario is, you need to go and look at every pass. You need to go and ask yourself this question: can I reduce that pass anymore? So if you get to the stage where you can reduce some passes, which is one road, but you can't reduce one, you cannot crash any longer. That's it, it's finished. Because if you imagine, it's like I'm telling you, if I use this task, it's going to take me 18 days. If I do this task, it's going to take me 17, and this task is going to take me 17. That doesn't mean if I reduce this the one that will take 17, it doesn't mean that my project will finish quicker, because you still have one task that is going to finish after 18 days. So sometimes there's no point to crash because your duration of your project is not going to be reduced.
okay, sir. Yeah.
Is that clear?
In every problems like this, if there is no point, we can reduce. So we have to leave the problem there.
Absolutely. And that's why there are so many exercises to practice. I really encourage you to go, not simply rely on what we've done today, but go to chapter 5, for example, for this exercise. There's a lot we've covered about that in details that I really encourage you to go and look at.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
No worries. Arif, are you good? All right, guys. Now, we gave you this table here. Okay, the reason why we gave it to you, because in a project, there's a direct cost and there's an indirect cost. Indirect cost is not a cost that we're doing directly by working on an activity. But if we actually reduce the duration of our project by some days, it will basically, let's say I need a machine for one less day. Every day I need a machine for less. I'm going to save money, save money, save money, save money. Now, if you go and see here, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, and so on. If you go and see here, we have a direct cost. What's a direct cost for 25 days, guys? What's a direct cost for 25 days?
For 450, sir.
What about for 24 days?
470.
470. What about for 23 days? You see?
490.
23 days 490, 22 days 520, 21 days for 560, 20 days 600. So you can see what we've done here. So you're going to go here and create a table. Say, all right, my direct cost for each period is this. My indirect cost has been given to me. My total project cost is my accumulation of direct costs and indirect cost, which you can go then add all of these totals together. And then from there, you can decide oh, this is 980. I can finish the project in 22 days and cost me 980, or I can finish the project in 21 days and it can cost me 580. Well, you would say, well, I prefer, in this example, I prefer to go and really finish my project earlier, because if I finish it earlier, I'll be able to go and still cost me the same amount of money. So what you do in this example, I'll say, all right, I'm gonna finish this project. I'm gonna finish it on, just use the other one. I'm gonna finish my project in 21 days. And that 21 days is going to be, the best time for me, because I can finish the project quicker and it's still going to cost me the same amount of money. So the best duration for me to finish my project is to finish my project in 21 days period at a cost of $980.
Where did you get the total cost? Where from did you get the total cost?
450 direct cost plus 550 equal 1,000.
So this indirect cost will always be there.
Will be given to you. If we are giving you the indirect cost, we'll be giving you that information. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So-
sir.
And you might be asked a question about drawing graphically. So if we ever ask you a question about drawing something graphically, it's very straightforward for you to do. So the way you do it is you go to, I'm going to go to the lecture slides to show you. So if we go to the lecture slide we covered in week 5. There's also exercises, by the way, but I'm going to go to the lecture slides here. Okay, and that's, if you go and see here, you'll be able to see that you'll be able to see on the calculation that we've gave you a graph, and that is the graph which tells you, okay, 21 days, all right, indirect cost, okay, great, direct cost, okay, total cost, you draw it, 22 days, indirect cost, direct cost, total cost. You basically do this calculation accordingly. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
You'd basically make it as a graphical interface. Any questions, my friends?
No, sir.
Alrighty, so that brings me to the end of that calculation exercise. It's obviously, there's a lot of practice that you will still need to go and do if this was to come in your final exam. Now, obviously, we don't have time to go into every single calculation exercise, but also there's a calculation about the earned value management, which we covered in one of the later weeks that you actually need to go and be looking at, because that also could actually be in your exam. And I encourage you to go and do all of these trial and exercises of trying all of those exercises that we've already done in the class. If you ever start, go into all of those videos, and then obviously you can always ask me questions. I'm always happy to go and help you.